content discussed on this program is often medical in nature and is used for informational purposes only. No content discussed should be taken as medical advice. Please consult your healthcare professional for any medical questions. Hi, I'm Tori McGee, and this is the Rapid Recovery Report sponsored by ROMTech, the modern technology of rehabilitation. We'll be doing a weekly series, every Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, where we talk to different guests, be it surgeons, patients, or insiders here at ROMTech to discuss wellness, health, and touch on ROMTech's Portable Connect. If you're new to ROMTech, this right here is the Portable Connect. It is a high-tech recovery device geared at patients to get patients moving and on recovery faster from injuries and surgeries. So to learn a little bit more about ROMTech, you can visit us at romtech.com and follow us at the social handles listed in the description below. So today we have a really exciting guest. I'm super stoked to be talking to him, and it's going to be a fun interview today. We've got Dr. Mark Adickes. So if you aren't familiar with Dr. Adickes, after retiring from the NFL, where he won a Super Bowl, while playing for the Redskins, Dr. Adickes attended George Mason University and then Harvard University Medical School. He completed his residency in orthopedic surgery at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, his sports fellowship at the Steadman Hawkins Clinic in Colorado under Richard Steadman, and currently he's the chief of sports medicine division and associate professor of orthopedic surgery at Baylor College of Medicine. Dr. Adickes also served as team physician for the Houston Rockets, the United States Ski Team, Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, and University of St. Thomas. Additionally, gosh, this is a long list, Dr. Adickes.
I'm busy. I'm going to add to it too.
Yeah. Additionally, he served as ESPN's medical analyst and has been on air several times discussing major injuries that required orthopedic surgery. We're so happy to have you.
It's good to be here. I was digging that jingle. I was sort of, dancing to the jingle that went along with the start of the show. No, but I actually moved into private practice, so I'm now part of the orthopedic sports clinic in Houston, and but loving life.
Well, good. We're so glad that you're here with us. And I guess the most pressing question, I think, is the number one question that I got from folks that I work with is there a story? I'm sure there is, behind moving from football to medicine.
Yeah, I mean, I think that anyone who's playing professional sports, the minute you know what you want to do when you're done, right? So nobody really thinks about what they want to do next until they're retired. And so for me, I'd played 10 years. My back was acting up, and it was making life pretty difficult. And so I decided I would retire. And it was at that point that I began thinking about what I wanted to do the rest of my life, thought about business, physical therapy, medicine, anything you can think of. I mean, I really thought about opening franchises. And I went to the pre-med counselor at George Mason University, and I said, look, I had a business degree. My grades were okay, but I was kind of majoring in football. Do you think I can get into med school? And he said, look, if you come here and you make straight A's and you do well on the MCAT, I think you can get into med school. And so that's what I did. And the funny part is that when I was applying to med schools, my wife's like, putting together the list I should apply to. And she said, you need to apply to Harvard. And I'm like, yeah, right. I'll never get in there. And she said, no, you have an unusual story. Your scores are great. Your grades are straight A's. I think you can do it. And so, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have applied to Harvard, and I'm sure I wouldn't be here today.
Well, that is amazing. What a shout out. Very cool. Very cool. It's funny. I've talked to a couple people, and one of them said, and I loved this, that you are like the epitome of the American dream, right? From playing in the NFL and winning a Super Bowl, into then going to Harvard Medical School and becoming like a top orthopedic surgeon in the country. That's like the most impressive.
All right. So, I am a Christian guy. You hear this word, oh, you're so blessed. I look at it, God made us all. We're all masterpieces in our own right. And it's just a gift. I was a big 270 pounds as a 15-year-old. I was full grown. No wonder I liked football. And thankfully, I could do well in school too. So, I mean, I look at it all as a big gift, and certainly I've worked very, very hard. But I love what I did. That was a wonderful career, and I love what I do even more.
Very cool. Gio, I think we have a picture of Dr. Adickes we may have shown already from back in his football days of being quite the Hulk. Look at you.
There I am. I mean, as we look at it, I'm back right? And then my best buddy is Mark Schlereth, who still is calling games for Fox Sports. He was on ESPN for 15 years. He's front left, and his arms look bigger than mine, but they're still pretty good. Not too bad.
I think you're doing pretty okay. Well, considering you're so busy and you've always been busy, you might just have your own internal way of organizing your life. But one of the questions that we had was, how do you manage your sports and ESPN career along with surgery and family and life in general?
It all comes down to having an incredibly supportive wife. All right, because my fall during the NFL season, I literally fly to LA every single weekend to do TV.
Oh my gosh.
And I did this year too, even during the pandemic. I flew to LA every single weekend. We shot our show that was opposite NFL Sunday Ticket, and did all the fantasy football injuries. And I do live injury analysis. So during the fall, and this year with the 17th game, I was waiting for them to say they were going to have 2 byes, which means instead of flying 17 weeks in a row, I'd be flying 19 weeks in a row.
Oh.
And thankfully, there's only 1 bye, so I think it looks like 18 flights. But I mean, I really enjoy it. I love football, and I'm a huge sports fan. We got the NCAAs going on right now, and the women and the men. I went to Baylor, and so our women's team is awesome too. And they didn't quite make the Final Four, but I love doing it. And if it wasn't for a super supportive wife, I couldn't do it. I have 5 children. We have 4 dogs.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, we have a crazy household too. And so anyway, I only have 1 left home though. So she'll be a senior next year. So maybe my wife can start traveling with me soon.
And do they all thrive in chaos because they've lived with 4 dogs and 4 siblings?
Exactly. Yeah, it's like literally a madhouse. I mean, it really is.
Oh
And they go from a Yorkie to a Scottie to a Labradoodle to a Newfoundland. It's like 160 pounds, so it's crazy.
Holy cow! Are your kids all stair steps too in height?
Well, 3 girls, 2 boys. The boys tell me that I have weak big genes because I'm 6'5", 2. Well, something. Well, I'm under 300, just barely. Anyway, but they're both about 6'1", and the girls are all 5'7", 5'6". So,
well, they're all significantly taller than I am, so they're doing great in that department. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about the Portable Connect. So, what were your first thoughts when you were introduced to ROMTech and the Portable Connect?
What's crazy about this is, I have this buddy who's got like 50 patents, and he's just absolutely raking it in. And my wife said, well, you have a lot of good ideas. Why don't you think of some things that you can patent? And so I thought of something. Unfortunately, someone had already thought about it. And that's kind of been my luck when it comes to brilliant ideas. Someone else thought about it first. But ROMTech is one. I had my total knee, and I was just struggling to get my motion and to get rid of the pain, the stiffness, and as soon as I could get on a stationary bike, my life changed. And so I thought, gosh, what a brilliant idea if we could develop a bike that we could adjust the sprocket length so we could start to get our motion back. The problem, what hurts so badly, is muscle co-contraction. The muscles prevent from hurting yourself. So it just makes getting your motion extremely painful and very difficult. When you get on a bike, you have a chore to do, right? You have something you're trying to do, and so it gives your muscles an intentional action, and it makes it hurt much less. So you can get motion and build muscle and have less pain. And so, I mean, it's just this phenomenally brilliant idea. And I actually found ROMTech at about the same time ROMTech found me. And so it was for me, it was just like a no-brainer. I love it. I've already, I don't know how many patients I have on it, more than 100 for sure.
Yeah.
And literally universally, everyone has loved it.
Good. So how many knee surgeries have you had? And I mean, how
Oh, yeah.
have you been able to use it personally?
Well, I've had 15 surgeries altogether, but on my right knee, I've had 9. And so I've had 2 big ligament reconstructions, and then I've had a number of scopes, and then I had a total knee, and then I had one procedure to kind of help me get, actually a procedure to help me get my motion when I couldn't get it on my own, because I didn't have a ROMTech, because you guys hadn't developed it yet.
Well, we hope that you won't have to have any more knee surgeries moving forward. But if you do, we'll be here.
Me too.
All right. So I got some really great questions from folks that I work with. So I'm going to roll through those. And then if there are any folks that are listening that have some questions for you, we'll hit those if you want to post them in the comment section and do our best for the time that we've been given. So the next question I've got for you is, how do you handle patients who are afraid of surgery?
Oh, I think it's a little bit easier for me having had a bunch of surgery. The other thing is that I don't sugarcoat anything. I'm going to tell you exactly what to expect.
Good.
And I can go through it from, the day before. And in some cases, it's super helpful to have people do a physical therapy session before surgery to kind of show patients what you're going to be doing afterwards. And so I think it's really easy for me to say, look, I have been through this, because almost every procedure that I do, I've had. And I can explain to them that, yes, it's not easy for the first few days, but it gets progressively easier. And before long, and I usually can give them a window when they're going to be better than they were before they had surgery. And I make that realistic. And I for the most part, most folks do really well. I mean, they get over their fears, and sometimes I show them videos and other things to kind of help. Nothing too graphic,
right?
Those that are afraid, but sort of some sketches and such that their fears can be allayed.
Yeah, I know that I would feel a lot better with a doctor who's had the exact same, or at least a very similar procedure himself, just to be able to kind of explain it a little bit better and be like, listen, I'm okay. Like, I went through this, and look I can move my arm. It's totally fine.
Come on, I can make it through. I mean, this will be a breeze for you.
For sure. Alrighty. So, can you comment on rehabilitation and how that affects patients' outcomes and satisfaction with the entire surgery process?
Well, I mean, physical therapy was key. I mean, when I was playing professional sports and I had surgery, and I had a bunch of my surgeries while I was playing, I mean, being able to work with physical therapists and athletic trainers every single day was huge. And multiple times a day, it made a big difference. Now, for most folks who have jobs and don't have access to physical therapists and athletic trainers and everything that a professional athlete has access to, I mean, it's difficult. If all you're doing is seeing a physical therapist twice a week, how are you going to make great progress, right? And yes, you can have a list of exercises you're supposed to do, but ROMTech makes it very, very easy. I mean, it really does. It takes you from passive range of motion, and that means that the machine is moving you. You're not having to push. And it takes you all the way through active range of motion, and then adding tension so that you can start to build muscle. And you can do it, and it encourages you to do it. And I can watch to make sure you're doing it, because there's an app that goes with it, so I can follow every single thing you're doing, and how many times you're doing it, and what your range of motion is. But it makes it very easy for you to professional athletes.
Yeah, I feel like the next wave would be like dentists having an app to make sure that they can watch you floss, because nobody does.
Oh my God. Yeah, hopefully not.
Well, that's the comparison.
Is that not good enough?
That's the comparison I always make. You know what I mean? Nobody likes doing PT. You have these things that you're supposed to be doing, but you don't. You're supposed to floss, you don't. It's human nature. So it does make it much easier knowing that your surgeon can be watching and call you out on the rug and tell you to do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I kind of floss my teeth every time I wash my car.
Mine might even be fewer than you. I live in California. I rarely wash my car.
I know, good point. Yeah, you guys don't need to.
Okay, so how many different procedures are you using the Portable Connect on outside of total and partial knees for your patients?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm a sports surgeon who does everything in the knees. So having had a total knee, I mean, I'm starting to do actually more total knees and partial knees than I used to, because I'm so happy with mine, and I want to be able to pass on the love, if you will. But being a knee surgeon, ACLs is a big one. Meniscus repairs, quad tendon repairs, patellar tendon repairs. Patellar dislocations, and then I do hip arthroscopy. So all my hip arthroscopy patients are getting on it as well, because it's really, you want to make sure your patients are getting motion, but you also want to return that muscle tone to normal. And being able to get on the ROMTech device has made a huge difference in all of those hip patients as well.
Good. We love to hear that. All right. So what can patients do prior to surgery to increase their chances of a better outcome?
I mean, I think that patients, if they can start to eat, if they're not someone that eats healthy already, I think getting on a good diet, hydrating properly, and I'll prescribe preoperative physical therapy for my patients all the time, so that they know, hey, I mean, I actually have some deficits before surgery that I should work on now before I have surgery. So exercise beforehand is obviously incredibly helpful, and all those things just make it so that there's far fewer complications and much better outcomes.
Absolutely. I mean, the less weight you can have on joints and all of that kind of stuff is better, right? The less strain.
Absolutely.
All righty. So I've got one more question for you. And then if we'll have any people out there in the interwebs that ask anything live, we can hit those. So we often hear about the importance of immediate mobilization after surgery. So I think we touched on that a little bit, but can you expand on that to help us understand why that's so important?
Once you've had surgery, any kind of surgery, what hurts is the end range of motion. All right. So when you first have a knee surgery, the end range of motion, because you've just had surgery, it may be when you get within 20 degrees of full extension and when you bend your knee 45. So there's almost no range of motion where you have no pain. And there's this large range of motion where you actually have pain. So being able to get on a device that immediately gets you moving takes that end range of motion out to a wider area. So where you were 20 to 45, now you're 0 to 90. And so most of the time you have no pain, and you only have pain when you get beyond 90. So what I tell people is, look, it is muscle co-contraction that creates the greatest degree of pain. It is the end range of motion where your pain is. So if you do something that eliminates muscle co-contraction and increases your range of motion, the pain that you have around your postoperative period is going to be much less. And so that's where the magic lies in the ROMTech.
Okay, well, great. I think those are all of the questions that we've got. If we have anybody out in the comments section, you want to go ahead and leave those and we'll try to get to them. But I guess that's sort of all that I had for you for now, Dr. Adickes. Thank you so much for spending time with us.
Well, thanks for having me on.
Of course. This was so much fun. Remember, you guys, we're going to be doing this once a week with different surgeons. We'd love to have you back anytime, Dr. Adickes. We'll have patients.
I'll come on again. I'm not afraid.
We'll have more stories where you can boost your wife up and hold her up, and maybe get you some extra special dinners or something.
That's right. Well, my anniversary, 28, is this Saturday. So.
Oh my gosh! Well, happy anniversary! Give her a big hug from us. All right, you guys.
I will.
Thank you so much. And be sure to follow us on all of our socials. You can follow us on Facebook. You can subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and check us out at www.romtech.com. Thanks so much, you guys, and we'll see you next week.